These, my friends, are my 5 favorite production tips when it comes to combating writer's block. Now, in my experience, I've had many times where I've been working on a track and all of a sudden, it's just not there anymore. I can't find the perfect melody or chord progression, or the mix is not going right, or my ears are too tired, or anything like that where I just haven't been able to complete the track that I've wanted to complete. And so these are the 5 tips that I go to over and over again to help combat that so I can see the track to completion. And I used these tips to recently finish a song that I just put out called Was It Over, which I'll put the link in the description box below if you're interested in checking that out. But the first tip might be an unusual one for you, and that is to just finish the song no matter what. Now, this is something that I learned recently by reading Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act. Now, believe it or not, this book actually has a whole lot about creativity, writer's block, and how to combat writer's block. Not specifically, but the way that Rubin kind of places everything and writes from his perspective about everything, and this is one of the most prolific producers of all time, is that once you have an idea, just go. See it to completion. Don't write the first verse and then walk away. Don't just come up with the chorus idea, jot it down, and then move on with the rest of your day. If inspiration hits you, it is a magical experience that is very hard to replicate. So when all of a sudden you're firing on all cylinders, it is important that you sit down and you see the song to completion. Now, your lyrics might not be perfect, your chord progressions might not be perfect, hell, the structure of the song might not be perfect, but at least you'll have the bones. The second tip is changing your environment. Look, I have worked day and night for months, if not years, to perfect this space that I have here because I want to be able to walk into it, turn on my computer, grab an instrument from my wall, and just work. But that doesn't always happen, right? Sometimes inspiration has to hit us in other places. So if you're sitting in your space here and nothing's working, go out for a walk, walk your dog, go out and hang out with some friends, spend some time with your family, go to work, go to a bowling alley. I don't know, do something, get something to get those creative juices flowing. And not specifically just because you want to be able to songwrite, but almost take your mind off of songwriting. Take the burden off of, hey, I need to make something right now as if my life depends on it. It's like, no, I'm just gonna go for a walk, give my brain a rest for an hour or two, and then maybe you'll hear some birds singing, or you'll hear, some wind rustling, or something that'll jog your memory, jog that creativity, jog the creative juices, if you will, that'll allow you to start coming up with something. Maybe you grab your phone, record something into the voice memos, run back into the studio, and like I said from tip number 1, see it's in completion and see if you can actually finish the song idea that you had. That leads us into tip number 3, which is embracing silence and meditation. Now look, I'm not the biggest meditator, okay? But I am a big fan of embracing silence. As an only child, I can vouch for the beauty of just locking yourself in a room, closing the door, maybe reading a book, and having nobody bother you. There is some joy to that. There is some solace to that. And there is some mental health benefits with that as well, right? So if you have the ability to kind of block out the world for just a little bit, maybe a half hour, maybe an hour, to just be in your space and kind of just relax, take some deep breaths, some diaphragmatic breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, you'd be amazed at how much more clarity you'll have. And all of a sudden, that chorus that you were having a hard time writing, all of a sudden you're inspired to finish it, and/or you've got an idea that's gonna make it that much better. Step number 4 is collaborating with other artists. Now, this is something, truthfully, that I don't do a lot, okay? I am very much a solo singer-songwriter, have been for quite some time. I used to play in bands and stuff. It didn't work out for me. Again, only child syndrome, who knows? I like producing by myself, okay? That's just kind of the way it is. But I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and say that some of the best stuff that I've ever created wasn't alongside other amazing, talented artists. So if you have the ability, if you have the network, or hell, if you wanna put yourself out there online to say, hey, I'm open to collaborations, I think it's huge. Getting another set of ears is key when you are producing, when you're songwriting, because they might hear something, the other person might hear something that you're not hearing, or vice versa. They might be writing something and you might hear something that they're not hearing that can make the song that much better. Tip number 5, your song is never gonna be perfect. Your song is never gonna be exactly the way you want it to be. Put it out there in the world, get it out there so you can get it off your mind and have it live its life. I have another song of mine that has a very interesting story that's gonna come out in about a month or so. It involves the drumming of a very dear friend of mine who unfortunately recently passed away due to cancer. Years ago, we had been in a band together called Racket City, and I had this unreleased song that at the time was called Demons, and he wanted to record some drums on one of my tracks, and I said, hey, record some drums for Demons. He did, and year after year after year, he kept asking me, hey man, when's this gonna come out? When are we gonna hear it? I want to hear how the drums sound alongside your track. And I said, I get to it, I'll get to it, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. I really wish that I had released the song with my friend's drums on it so many years ago, because he would have been able to hear it, enjoy it, promote it on his socials, and tell everyone that he got to play drums on this song. And that would have made me so happy to see him so excited about being part of a project that I did. But yeah, writer's block sucks. It's one of the worst things as a creative artist. It's one of the worst things as a producer. But there's ways to get around it. And if you haven't read it already, I highly recommend this book, The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. Now, the chapters are really short, and a lot of it is like, you know, stream of consciousness thoughts that he has. He'll write like a page or two about something, but then it's amazing, right? Let me know how it goes for you. And as always, my name is Mir, like the kind you look into, and I'll see you in the next video.